Hey Rob and Melanie, this is Grant Putnam. Just wanted to quickly go over the design and the proposal that we had shot over. So the lawn areas to be fixed would be between the street and the existing stone wall, and then around the stepping stones. You'll notice we noted that on the design, and for that we're thinking about putting in sod so you have instantaneous grass. Okay. For plantings along the street, we were thinking maybe we could soften that wall. So the idea would be, one second, just get the picture back. Okay, there we go. So the idea would be to have 3 ornamental grasses, one here, one here, one here. We gave you several different options for grasses that will work, okay, that stay more compact in nature. And then in between the grasses, we had 2 pockets of perennials. We suggested perennials that are going to end up staying dwarf, so this way they're not going to overpower or grow up the whole height of the wall. So it's more to soften the wall rather than to cover the wall. And also perennials that have longer blooming periods, so you get a longer season of interest. Rather than buying like a peony that blooms for 2 to 3 weeks, these are perennials that rebloom, that bloom for a lengthy period of time. So you'll notice everything's labeled, and on the proposals, there's going to be multiple options for each labeled item on the design. Okay, so above that, we were thinking about doing pocket plantings here and here so you can still maintain your view out to the street. So we were considering using drift roses, and the idea with drift roses is that they bloom pretty much the longest outside of any other plant. So roses in general start blooming end of May, and they'll rebloom all the way until frost. There's no other shrub that will bloom as long a period and give you that much color. So I would go with the pink drift roses actually if I was you, here and here, to give you some bright color. They only grow about 2 feet to 30 inch max height, and you put them in a group so it gives you a really nice pocket of color on either corner of the front lawn. All right. So the next item is the screening along the neighbor's fence over here. Same thing, we give you multiple options. Some of those options are evergreen, meaning they keep their color during the winter. And some of those options are deciduous, meaning they drop their leaves during the winter. But there's pictures of each option within the proposal on the original email. So you can take a look at those and get a sense of what everything looks like and make an educated decision. You'll notice I purposely separated the costs for this area from the rest of the estimates. That has its own subtotal, and that's because we weren't sure if you really wanted to do that. That'd be something that, you know, if you decide you want to do it, great. If not, then we could remove that off the proposal, and that would save you about $2,100. Okay, so that's that. In the front of the house, along the front, we'd end up ripping out everything that's there. And then we had 2 different compact growing trees, one being a tree hydrangea, so that will start blooming end of July and bloom until frost. So it's literally the longest blooming tree that you could buy, okay? And it stays compact, it's not gonna grow too big over time. The other item was a Twombly Red Sentinel maple tree. So that looks, you'll drive around town, you'll see these red maple trees all over the place. It's that tree, but it's a specific variety that grows much narrower than the other varieties that you see around town. So it stays more compact and grows narrower. So that was the concept off the front right of the corner of the house, and this way it kind of frames the house when you look up from the street. Then we had a couple options for evergreen upright shrubs to frame the door here and here. So either a Green Mountain boxwood, which is a pyramidal shaped boxwood that taps out about 6 feet tall. All right, so that's the advantage, it's not gonna really grow too big over time. Or you could do a Crypside common cypress, and the Crypside common cypress is yellow in nature. That, maybe you'll get 10 years out of it, at some point it's gonna get too big. Okay, most upright evergreens will wanna grow about 12 to 15 feet tall over a long period of time, but for some people that might be considered too large. So the one thing you need to take notice of is if you go with the Crypside common cypress, you might keep it for 10 years and then you might end up putting another one in or put something different in. because it's going to want to continue to grow. Okay. Then we had some options for flowering shrubs along the house. These two, and these two match, so it's the same shrub. Shrub A is 4 plants, 1, 2, 3, 4. And we gave you multiple options for that. And then along the front, for a secondary layer, like a lower growing layer, we had perennial B and perennial C. So the only difference on the two different designs is in this area here and here. So one option is you go with the perennial. The other option is you go with dwarf green velvet boxwoods, which only tap out about 30-inch max height. And the advantage to that is then you still have evergreen all winter. So if you wanted to have something that stays green all winter, then you could go with the green velvet boxwoods to cover this area and this area, which is the other design that I had sent you. Okay. And then as we kind of make our way back, the other area was on both sides of the air conditioning units. And same thing, we gave you multiple options of plants that will work based on your preferences with the pictures. The lampposts, we were talking about possibly relocating the lamppost. The other items that are kind of unknown, that are not so far included within your quote, is relocating the lamppost, because that's going to also involve an electrician. Any irrigation, so I don't think you have an irrigation system now, but if you did, we can modify that and add on to your existing irrigation system to make sure everything gets watered. Alternatively, if you don't have an irrigation system, then what we can do is we can connect drip line off the spigot of your house so that all these plants get watered. So for that, we would still have to quote that for you. So that's an unknown item. And the last unknown item was whether or not you wanted a quote for low voltage outdoor lighting, which would be probably lighting to uplight the two trees here and here. Now you already have a post light, which I recommend making sure that's on a dimmer so you can control the intensity of the light, but that would probably be enough light to light up the steps and the walkway. So if anything, it's uplights. If you decide you want to do uplights, some people even put uplights bathing the front of their wall. That could be a good idea. Like I said, uplight here, and then maybe there's a couple of trees in the backyard or some path lights in the backyard that you need. But that's something that we do as an in-house service that a lot of people inquire about. So it's something to bring to your attention, that if you would like that, we could give you a quote on it. So that's it. I mean, our thing is super quality detailed work. I think the same kind of detail you're going to see kind of in our proposal phase here is the same sort of detail you'll get during the project. And we really know our plants. So we look at sunlight conditions, we look at all the different items, we know what the maturity is of each plant, we know when it blooms. Obviously, if you decide to hire us, then we would come out, we would pinpoint the location of every plant on top of the ground, and then have you take a look at it before we plant it. So this way there's transparency, there's no surprises as far as where everything's located. So that's it. But I appreciate the opportunity, and we'll talk to you soon. Thanks.